Yes, Halloween time.
Yeah.
And we have the scariest thing on the planet Earth with us this week.
The Wolverine.
The Wolverine.
You know what? I am not the Wolverine.
Wolverine.
That guy is handsome.
Yeah.
He's rich. He's successful. I am the opposite of all three of those things.
Okay.
So really, I am kind of scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, we've got, we actually, it was some weeks ago I remember saying that I didn't think we might get enough Halloween horror, slasher, monster, ghost-themed stuff to be able to justify a show, but we do.
Yeah.
We got it. It,
Yeah.
all came in. We have a few things we covered in recent weeks, which we're going to cover again. Just to put it on your radar, go out, grab some of these things, put them on during the party, watch them with your loved ones, or watch them alone and freak yourself out. There's a lot of scary stuff this week. Kind of crazy how much actually came down the pike at the end, but there it is. There it is. And Mark, they
Yes,
don't
sir.
really celebrate Halloween in France. So
You know what's funny is that they're actually starting to.
Are they?
Now, here's the thing.
Yeah.
When I went to Paris initially, I landed on Halloween, October
that's
30th.
right. I
October
remember that.
31st, 2017.
Yeah.
And that was Halloween night, and my girlfriend has a young daughter, and she had a costume.
Uh-huh.
And she went up and down the street to different houses, and there were a smattering of kids who did this who were also in costume, but it was not like a robust. They don't have a robust Halloween tradition there, but it's starting to lock in.
All right.
But it has, just by the very nature of it, to be this imported or exported thing, right? I mean, there's nothing that they can pin it to. Like, I mean, we pin it to, I suppose, some sort of,
Pagan something or other.
this, that, or the other thing. They're just making crap up or doing it because we do it.
Let me tell you something. You know what? Do you realize what they have in Paris now? They have Black Friday sales. The day after American Thanksgiving, they have Black Friday sales. You will walk down the street in Paris and you will see painted on the windows of all the shops Black Friday sale.
Yeah, the power of American marketing, of Western marketing, is just amazing.
Which is weird because the French are so protective of their language. I mean, there's a committee, a group, a government group, and all they care about is protecting the French language.
Yep, that's it.
And yet-
L'Académie Française.
And yet, they still have Black Friday
Not
sales.
noir. What's the French word for Friday? Noir.
Vendredi.
Vendredi. It's Friday.
Did they call them that? Noir vendredi?
No,
No,
Black
no,
Friday.
They call it Black Friday. Okay, that's just
Vendredi noir. No.
That was the
America
weird-
wins. America wins.
That was the weirdest thing when living there, was finding out that people actually use the word weekend.
Yeah,
Oh,
they do.
le weekend.
Le weekend.
Like, wait a minute. I'm sorry, but there's nothing. There's no French word for weekend, so they just call it le weekend, which is we can thank Godard.
The way they
I
are
guess.
about language, I'm a little surprised they just didn't decide to make one up.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah,
Because they have one for email now. Courriel.
Courrier.
Because courrier,
courier.
courrier is regular mail, and courriel, like EL for electron, it's like courrier électronique, courriel. It's they may and everybody's all cool with that.
Yeah,
because they don't have to say le email.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does to me too. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to mention just a couple of. We only have 2 foreign language horror titles this week, both worth mentioning. And the one that is probably most worth mentioning is called Corpse Prison Part 1. And, isn't that funny? You'd think with a title like Corpse Prison, this is not a Halloween title. You think, well, that sounds like, a Christmas title. But no, you would be wrong. And this is Japanese. The other one is Korean. Japanese and the Koreans make absolutely the most horrific stuff. Well, I guess Thailand makes some pretty gnarly horror films as well. But as far as Asian industries are concerned, Japan and Thailand and Korea are the ones that have really, really made a go of it. The Corpse Prison is just relentlessly bloody and horrific, and it's more than a little scary, creepy. It's, I guess the best analogy is it's a little bit like a mystical Japanese version of The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit like that, except it's scarier. Actually, it's a lot scarier. The whole, isolated community, mountain village, where eerie things going on. You get a little bit of that Hills Have Eyes, a little bit of that in The Wicker Man. It's all that kind of stuff going on, and it is, oh boy, it's a weird place, and it's creepy. So anyway, this is apparently based on a manga originally, and they did quite a good job of it. It hits that exploitation nerve, but it doesn't go overboard. The other one is Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum. And this one is probably a better crossover thing. So the idea here is that you've got these guys who do this web show, which is like a horror web show, and they've decided to really do a special show by visiting this abandoned asylum and do their show from the abandoned asylum. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We're going to set up a few things inside the place, and just for the viewers, we'll really kick our viewership up. Of course, little do they realize, oh no, it's really haunted, and crap starts happening, and next thing you know, it all goes south really fast. And there it is. It's actually it's a lot of fun. It's really quite smart and well put together. Gonjiam, Haunted Asylum.
Oh boy!
All right, and then what? Let's see. Well, we covered some stuff in recent weeks, which we should cover again.
The Halloween movies. Let me grab. Well, yeah, the new Halloween.
The new Halloween
movie,
is out.
Open, which is good, by the way.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Picks up that Halloween, the new Halloween, right where this Halloween lets off.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Halloween 2 also picked up where Halloween 1 left off. and I rather enjoyed Halloween 2. And then you have all 6, 7 other Halloweens that are, I don't know, whatever, with those Halloweens. You know, but when you toss all of those out, these 3 Halloweens to me are pretty damn good.
Somebody did an online map. Now it makes sense. I was wondering, I was like, I don't understand this. Someone did a little online map that shows you the Halloween multiverse, how everything connects and what. And apparently, because Halloween 2 goes here, and then this Halloween goes here, and they're all these alternate timelines.
Yeah, there's
now.
one that Michael Myers is not even in. That's his name, right?
Halloween 3.
Yeah, he's not even in the movie.
Season of the Witch.
Yeah,
has nothing to do
with the kid. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
But hey, Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, for which he did the score.
Yes, that's right, as he did all his stuff.
As he did quite often. I enjoyed this movie along with the original Friday the 13th, and what is
That was during that whole 80s horror run.
The one with Freddy Krueger. What was that?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare, the original. That Johnny Depp's in that movie. And launched some careers, and definitely made made some money for a lot of people. Jamie Lee Curtis. She had made a movie before this, though. Hasn't she made that movie with Stacy Keach down in where they're in the almost like Duel or something like that?
Oh,
or maybe that was right after the original Halloween.
I do not know.
Yeah, it was an interesting thing. Anyway, this is pretty neat. All kinds of audio commentaries with Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis, and featurettes, 2-3 featurettes, trailers from the back in the day. A lot of fun. Halloween.
And then yes, that's right. Tales from the Hood 2.
Here's the thing about Tales from the Hood 2. Tales from the Hood 2 is terrible. But it does make you remember Tales from the Hood, which was actually pretty cool. And you go back and check that out. Nevertheless, this is okay. Also written, directed by Rusty Cundiff and Darren Scott. I knew these guys from way back in the day. And you know what? What the heck? If you made a hit, go ahead and revive it and do it again.
And we just found out the other day that a friend of ours, his niece is in the first scene.
Oh,
it's
really?
her first big acting bit. And she's so sweet, and we're so happy for her. So I don't care that it's bad. I'm just glad she got some work.
And by bad, I simply mean it's not a very good movie. It doesn't mean it's not a movie that's a lot of fun that you can watch. But don't pretend like you're watching a good movie.
Yeah.
You're just watching a bad movie that's set in the hood.
Yeah. And Mark, did we throw some things your way?
Yes, you did. Wade, Sam
trying
Raimi,
to include you here.
Sam Raimi has been trading off the Evil Dead for just 175 years. It's just, come on, man. But finally on 4K Ultra HD, we have the original Evil Dead. And the thing is, did you really need a 4K transfer for a film that cost $350,000 and was shot in the backwoods of Tennessee?
Now you're going to be able to see where all the seams and everything sticks together, because that's terrible.
It's like when you got your first 4K TV and you watched local news, and you realize how ugly that hot anchor you thought, that anchor you thought was so hot, that weather girl, turns out in 4K, she's ugly. Anyway, I'm being
of course,
a jerk.
everybody is.
I'm being a jerk. Not me. I'm handsome all the time. Anyway, the original Evil Dead is great, obviously. It's a cult classic, and it launched Sam Raimi. Now, Raimi, of course, has not done a good film since... A Simple Plan. I loved A Simple Plan, but...
That is a good film.
I think Drag Me to Hell, which is probably maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, but that was okay.
Which I liked.
I like that a lot.
That was probably his last good film, but it turns out that now we're all trading it on Evil Dead on TV.
Yeah.
Because also on Blu-ray is Ash versus Evil Dead. This is Bruce Campbell, who, by the way, has not aged at all.
It's kind of funny what goes on in that series, because when we first meet Ash, again, years later, 30 years since the events of Evil Dead, and I suppose Army of Darkness, although they sort of ignore that, he's looking kind of bad. He's looking rough. with the one hand and the belly and the hairline and all that kind of stuff. But he's being called back to fight the evil dead. I was kind of a little pissy about that because hey, what are you doing? I'm a Bruce Campbell here. But over the course of that season, he sort of pulls himself together, and the belly goes away, and he puts a little dye in, and he gets that ash back, and thus you get the one that's on that cover right now.
Interesting.
And I was like, good. They redeemed my guy, because that was my guy, Bruce Campbell.
Now, if you're doing that, if you're starting the season fat and then getting thin, do you shoot in order or out of order? Is it easier for the actor to start fat and lose weight by the final, or is it easier for him to start thin and then start eating during the course of the season and he gains weight?
And then shoot the opening scenes. I saw him at something, and, he looked great. So I'm thinking he did it the first way around. Yeah.
All right, let's see.
The Twilight movies.
Let's do that because I got a thing to follow up on.
10 years worth of Twilight movies. The original Twilight movie was 10 years ago. This one is 10 years worth of Twilight films. Includes the original Twilight film and a new tour. This is an extended.
That's a 4K thing.
Yeah, this is an extended cut, by the way. This movie was long as hell in the first place, and they've added more to it.
It's funny what that series became, because the original Twilight was directed by Catherine Hardwicke, and it was like, okay, it wasn't that. But then 17 sequels later, it's this huge budget thing with these big directors and all the special effects.
Yeah.
It had rather modest beginnings, we seem to forget.
As opposed to, say, the very first Harry Potter film was the big old Christopher Columbus film.
Yeah.
And they just got bigger from being big.
But they got darker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody grew up, and got horny.
Yeah.
We got every one of these freaking films here. So you got Twilight, you got Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1, Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2, you got Twilight, a New Moon extended edition, of course, and Twilight Eclipse. All extended editions, all packed full of every possible thing you can think of. Look, vampires and werewolves, teenage love, they get married, what are you going to do? It's like Friends, only they're vampires and werewolves.
The thing is, it should be pointed out, these are all, except for the original Twilight, which is on 4K, all the other stuff that's out in these special editions, they're only Blu-ray DVD combo sets. If you want to see them on 4K, it's only on digital, only on download. 4K does not exist for the rest of the films on disc. So that's a bit unfortunate.
And I'm just going to say, you don't want to see these movies in 4K. All of the digital crap in these movies looks awful in 4K. Those digital werewolves, awful. You know what they look like? Digital werewolves. That's what they look like. So, whatever.
Well, here's something else that should not necessarily be on 4K. Constantine, City of Demons, the movie. So Constantine, which was a not very good movie with Keanu Reeves based on the graphic novel, has nonetheless maintained a certain level of popularity in the culture, and we now have a CGI animated Constantine sequel called City of Demons, the movie. Is there a Constantine City of Demons, the series?
No.
Then why would we... Anyway, never mind. This is on 4K Blu-ray and also has Movies Anywhere on it as a digital copy or digital code. And you know what? It's just more of the same. I don't get this world like there's he's part of two worlds. He's in this world, but he's partly in the world of demons, etc. and so forth. And that somehow the netherworld is always intruding. And I don't know. This is not very well put together. It feels like it was probably a rejected Doctor Strange script.
Is that the same guy from the television series?
No. This is voiced by. Let's see. Matt Ryan does the voice of John Constantine.
Different guy, because they had that series for a minute, and I just noticed that guy, who was in the series, the live action television series, is now going to be on Green Arrow. Because they reconfigured the cast of Green Arrow, and now Constantine, but it's the same guy from the Constantine series that got canceled. So what are you going to do?
Well, that's interesting. Well, anyway, the basic idea is here about the baddie here. The big bad is an old Aztec god with a name that you can't pronounce, and it just gets very, very silly. It's really an excuse just for a lot of CGI. However, for Halloween, we can be very forgiving.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Can't have Halloween without zombies.
Nope.
And you can't have zombies without The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead, the complete 8th season here. To be honest with you, I have no idea who's still alive. I bailed on this so long ago.
Doesn't it seem like this thing's been on forever and it's sort of not? I don't know that it's running on fumes, but it's like.
And not to mention the spinoffs. There's got there's at least one spinoff.
Fear the Walking Dead.
Yeah, which is I don't quite get how that works. I mean. But I guess
I think that happens before
the
zombies take over the world.
Okay, that's what's going on there. Anyway, I just at this point I'm not sure. I'm looking at the box here, and I recognize a few of these people, so some of them made it. But I don't know. It don't look like it's going well. Special features: Carl Grimes, A Living Legacy, In Memoriam, The Price of War, and a whole bunch of audio commentaries. The complete 8th season of The Walking Dead from AMC.
So, from the producers of the Twilight Saga comes Down a Dark Hall.
In a world.
With Uma Thurman and Anna Sophia Robb. We all love Uma Thurman. Does anyone not love Uma Thurman?
No, I love Uma Thurman.
And I love Anna Sophia Robb. I think she's terrific. She's been kind of coming on since she was a child actress, and she's great. Here she plays a delinquent girl who gets sent to this boarding school where Uma Thurman is the headmistress, and Uma is all kind of creepy and weird and freaky. And the weirdest thing about the boarding school is there are only 4 other girls there. So there's only it's like, well, why? What kind of boarding school only has? Well, of course, the boarding school has all kinds of secrets.
Yeah, it eats boarding school girls apparently.
And you should have known already that it's a problem when the boarding school is called Blackwood Boarding School. Come on, Blackwood.
That's where you want to send the kids.
Where are you going to boarding school? Blackwood.
That's where you.
If you want to hide the fact that you are like this occultish, haunted, demonically possessed boarding school, you would call it like Happy Acres.
Yes.
Then no one pays attention to you when you're at Blackwood. Everyone knows.
We might as well just call it Child Sacrifice Boarding School. Unfriended, the Dark Web. Unfriended Dark Web from the producers of Unfriended. And Happy Death Day, The Purge, and the other Purge, and another Purge, and I think we purged a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the kind of movies these guys make. This one is about some 20-somethings that find some files on their computer. The files connect them down to this thing called the dark web. I'm not really sure what the dark web is. I mean, is it a place? Or is it a bunch of people who, I don't know what it, but it's the dark web. Yeah. And the dark web doesn't want to be found, so it starts coming after them. It's the whole thing.
Isn't the dark web where, like, Sean Hannity thinks that liberals are conspiring to destroy Donald Trump or something?
That's where
he always talks about the dark web.
It's where Barack Obama and Michelle Obama eat babies. Everybody knows that.
Where Hillary runs her child porn? Or
didn't you used to hang out on the Hannity page? Isn't that the thing you used to do?
Well, Fox Nation.
That was the dark web.
Fox
Nation.
Hung out there. I have never. I haven't done this in years, but I used to go to Fox Nation. It was literally the dregs of the most disgusting, horrible, racist, anti-Semitic, misogynistic, inbred trolls you've ever met in your life. They're horrible, horrible, dark, dirty, disgusting dregs of humanity would comment there. Now, this is like maybe 10 years ago. I have no idea what it's like now. I'm sure it's
worse.
Worse. I'm sure it's cleaned up a lot.
By the way, that's the tagline for the movie. Bonus features here. Interesting thing. Yes. Only interesting thing about this movie: 3 alternate endings.
Wow, there we go.
Yeah,
choose one.
Yeah, that's called lousy writing, people. Yeah. When you have 3 alternate endings, it means somebody can't make a decision.
So I'm going to talk about Feral, and then Mark and I are going to have an argument. Feral is basically a Friday the 13th / Halloween / camping kids in the woods type slasher thriller, but with a viral zombie angle to it. So the idea here is that you got these 6 kids who are taking a camping trip, and next thing you know, the rabid virus is infecting them, and it's going to turn them each person into a zombie unless you kill them. So it puts you into this weird thing where, oh my gosh, my friend is turning into a zombie. Do I run or do I, chop her head off? What do I do?
You chop her head off and run, but never. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's okay. So anyway, it's perfectly fine. It doesn't do anything. There's nothing special to this necessarily. This is an IFC Midnight film released through Scream Factory division of Shout Factory. But you know what? It's perfectly competent. It's well made. It's just we've been there, done that. But anyway, Feral is the title, and it works if you're looking for something to scratch the Halloween itch. It's perfectly suitable.
Horror films are very often just solid calling card films for you call them young directors if you want to, early directors. Something you make a horror movie, even if you screw it up, it's
sure.
it's not a marker of any great failure or anything like that.
So, Mark, the movie Mandy, which I had to review for the radio, and which I absolutely crucified, even though Christy Lemire, who was on the radio with me that time, thought it was really cool. Because she said, if you want to see a movie with a naked Nick Cage sitting on the toilet and crying, this is the movie for you. And it was funny when she said it on the radio. But I still think you people are out of your mind. Why do you like Mandy?
Wait, let me tell you something.
Soapbox.
Let me tell you something.
Go for it.
Panos Cosmatos.
Panos Cosmatos.
The son of George P. Cosmatos, who,
Yeah.
of course, directed such outstanding films. Well, I should say George Cosmatos did
Tombstone.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
Tombstone, yeah.
But he also did that, what was that Abyss knockoff that came out about the same time about the monster on the ocean floor?
Leviathan.
Leviathan.
Yeah.
Thank you. He also did a bunch of crap like that. So his son is a lunatic who made one film previously.
Oh,
which was-
Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Beyond the
Beyond
Black,
the Black
Rainbow,
Rainbow.
which I didn't like.
That was crazy, man.
And that
Well, Beyond
was- How is
Beyond
this?
the
How is-
Black Rainbow.
How is this any different?
Is a film that I felt like there's something about Panos where he approaches the film with such visual and oral conviction. This guy, it is like listening to a double album with the headphones on and smoking pot. That's what you're doing when you watch his films. Because it is done with such all-encompassing conviction that it's not really a storytelling and character experience. It's this all-encompassing visual, oral,
Okay.
just
I-
like
I would-
descent into hell is what it is.
Well, it's in some ways shades of Jodorowsky.
Well, Ken Russell, look. When you watch Altered
Oh, for
States,
sure.
when you watch Altered States,
Which
you
I did
saw-
about a month ago, by the way.
and right, and William Hurt's in the thing, and he turns into a caveman or something.
Yeah.
You're like, that's so. Imagine that, but with 21st century technology,
Okay.
in terms of visuals
Let me-
and in terms of music and effects.
let me set the stage for this. So Nick Cage.
I love this movie. It's fun.
Nick Cage goes like to 11 on the Nick Cage scale.
See, I don't know though. I don't know. I don't know,
yeah, yeah.
man. Because the thing is that he goes. No, here's the thing. His performance is consistent with the movie he's in, versus other Nick Cage films where his performance is way outside what the movie really called for. You know, this is the performance this movie called for.
Nick
okay?
Cage goes
In-
to 11 in a movie that goes to 11. There's my
that's
pull quote.
fine. That's okay. But when he was doing like Portugal, the
Yeah.
lieutenant,
yeah.
Okay.
and he's just snorting cocaine and screaming at the top of his lungs, you're like, where are you going, man?
Okay.
As opposed to, because this, Kiss of the Vampire?
Yeah.
Vampire's
Oh, yeah, that's
Kiss?
right,
Vampire's
Vampire's
Kiss.
Kiss.
Vampire's Kiss. That was another one where he's at 11, but that movie is around a 15. And but
True.
Nick, it somehow 25 years ago it all made sense.
So here's the deal with Mandy. Mandy stars Nick as a presumably normal guy who, with his wife, they moved to the Northwest. I guess, what is it, Oregon or Washington or something. Not realizing that they have moved right smack into the middle of the freakiest event ever, which is there's this bizarre, like, death cult that is being run by cult leader Linus Roach. Linus Roach, your normal, very lovable British subdued actor, is playing this freaky Manson-like cult leader. And they are truly the most evil people imaginable. But that's not all. Oh, no. It's not just that there's a cult. There's also a biker gang of orcs who've used
They
like
took some bad LSD or something like
they had
that.
like a really terrible trip on a bad batch of LSD, and they turned into these crusty-faced
Road warrior type people.
orcs.
Yeah.
And they're somehow involved in this as well. And next thing you know, they've killed Nick Cage's wife. They've lit her on fire. And then Linus Roach is standing there fully naked, exposing his incredibly small British manhood, which is an embarrassment. I'm like, oh, thank you.
But he was brave to do it.
He was, I guess. Everyone was brave to be in this movie. And then at some point, this film just goes off the rails. Everything's red and murderous and freaky and bloody, and there are chainsaws that are like 18 feet long. It's
He
obnoxious.
takes out a chainsaw that's like freakishly long.
It's absurd.
But the thing is that everybody knows it's absurd. It's not like Panos is like, well, this is realistic.
Yeah.
It's of a piece with the rest of the film.
Look.
Wade, you've never smoked pot, have you?
No.
There
There's
you
a
go.
moment in
As
this
I'm
film.
at right now, which is really funny.
There's a moment in this film where Nick is gonna. He's gone. He's gonna go nuts, and he goes to see a friend of his who lives in a trailer
Bill Duke.
to get like weaponry from him, and that friend is played by Bill Duke. And in this scene, he's sitting there and he wants to get his stuff. And Bill Duke is sitting there, and Bill Duke is doing what Bill Duke does so well. Bill Duke.
Gravitas.
Like, if Nick goes to 11, Bill Duke takes it down to -30. Bill Duke is at -30. Everything is really low-key, man. It's very low down. And then Nick starts losing his mind. They were like bikers, man, and they burn her alive, and everything was going apocalyptic. And Nick is freaking out. And there's a close-up of Bill Duke. And if you're reading through Bill Duke's eyes, Bill Duke is thinking, what in God's name is going on? And what have I gotten myself into? I don't understand what's happening. Am I supposed to be acting natural? What am I doing? I don't understand. Nick just goes completely off the reservation, and poor Bill Duke is really trying to work. And I think somebody informed Bill Duke he was in a normal movie, and he just got lost here for that moment. And I don't know. If everybody else had been at Bill Duke's level, if everybody else were down here, I might have enjoyed this movie. But everybody else is like crazy, man. It's red.
How do we know that? How do we know Bill didn't? He might have just made a choice.
Yeah,
Bill might have said,
But
you know
Panos
what?
is a guy.
You go that way, I'm going this way.
But Panos is a guy, and you can tell he's a guy who is going to get from you, whether you're the composer, you're the star, you're the production designer. He's going to get exactly what he wants, because you know that this is proof that the auteur theory exists. This is a film that can only be made by this guy.
Yeah.
So you know that if Bill Duke was like, I want to do it this way, Panos like, no, you're not. You're doing it this way. Because he's got the film in his head. You know?
Yeah. Oh, you got to appreciate the fact that there it is.
I mean, literally, this thing is this is me. I am here. This is my effing film. And it is a really, I thought it was a real experience. And let me tell you something. I watched this thing on a laptop, okay, and I was still freaked out. Imagine seeing this like at the ArcLight.
Yeah.
Or in some huge theater.
Oh, dear.
You'd like melt.
Oh, dear.
Your brain would melt.
Yeah.
2 films, Beyond the Black Rainbow and this.
All right, Patient Zero. Now that we've plumbed that one, Patient Zero. Best thing about Patient Zero is Stanley Tucci, who's just always good in everything, even if it's a small part. The Patient Zero. Matt Smith is fine in this too. He's the more significant character. Matt Smith.
Doctor Who.
Yes, Doctor Who. Matt, and The Crown.
Yeah,
The Crown. Matt Smith, terrific. So Patient Zero. Obviously, if you've seen a zombie movie, you understand Patient Zero is the first one, the one we have to find, the source. Anytime you get into zombie virus stuff, it's always Patient Zero, as opposed to actual zombies who are like Raise the Dead zombies.
Yeah.
Patient Zero is a viral zombie concept. So anyway, here the world is overtaken by the virus and the whole thing, and Matt Smith is the guy who and now people are actually like zombies are begetting zombies, and the virus is mutating. Anyway,
zombies are doing it.
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, that's
disturbing.
I'm swiping right on zombies now, baby. Give me some
Matt
zombie
Smith.
action.
So Matt Smith is the guy who is able to. He's sort of like the half breed who can communicate with people who are infected, and they can try to work their way back to finding Patient Zero. Anyway, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's perfectly fine. It's well done, good production value, and it's a good cast. I mean, you got
Natalie Dormer.
Natalie Dormer's in this as well, who's really terrific. Stanley Tucci, Matt Smith. It's it's on Blu-ray, and this is probably one of your better Halloween options. I would say it's more intelligent than most anything else we're talking about.
Yeah. If you're not going to go with the classics anyway,
that's for sure.
The classics of Universal.
Yeah.
All
right, and then let's see. We got a bunch of old other classic stuff here. I'm going to start. You know what? Here's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with Invasion of the Body Snatchers, because we have an Olive signature release now of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original Don Siegel film with Kevin McCarthy, and I think in many respects this is still the best. Even though I truly love the 1970.
Yeah.
I do love that Philip Kaufman film from 1978, Donald Sutherland. Yes, I do. But
Jeff Goldblum.
Olive really pulled out all the stops. There are just a load of extras on this thing, and it really takes you all the way back to the making of it and the context of it. It's just it's pretty terrific set of extras. The movie was made in 1956. It's of course a Cold War allegory. During the Red Scare. That's the whole essence of it. But it's still a really great Halloween movie, and it's got that just super cool, eerie, creepy vibe to it that only exploitation films in the 50s had. And Olive has done a really lovely job with this, with the slipcover and terrific Blu-ray transfer. It's really, really good. So Olive Signature's release of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the original, the one and only, which blows by in 80 minutes. It's unreal how fast this movie moves by today's standards. It really does.
House on Haunted Hill,
That's another classic.
Yeah, well, this is the 1999 version.
Yeah, okay.
Jeffrey Rush and all that, which is not exactly a classic, but I remember I actually covered this movie, did the junket for it and all that stuff back when Jeffrey Rush would appear in movies like this.
Yeah.
And I remember rather enjoying it. This guy, he builds roller coasters, and they have the whole house and all that kind of stuff. It kind of walks along the beats of the original 1959 cult classic, with that, because he's kind of doing that Vincent Price thing. Jeffrey Rush, he's got the little skinny mustache and the ascot and all that business. So it's like they know that they're doing House on Haunted Hill. They're simply adding some fancy technology of the moment, but they didn't try to make a different movie, which is the thing that I appreciated about it. So this frankly would be a perfectly lovely little double bill with the original 1959 Vincent Price version of House on Haunted Hill. This one's from 1999, 2K scan with all kinds of really great stuff in terms of special features, interviews with the director and William Malone, the composer, a featurette, some behind-the-scene FX type stuff. Fun movie, House on Haunted Hill, collector's edition.
Cool. Now here's a really interesting one: The Ghost of Sierra de Cobre. That's Cobre, Cobre, like Cobre. The Ghost of Sierra de Cobre. With Martin Landau and Diane Baker. Here's the interesting story about this movie. This is from 1964. This was originally going to be a TV pilot. Joseph Stefano was a producer of The Outer Limits, and wanted this to be a pilot, going to be directed by Robert Stevens, who had done a lot of Alfred Hitchcock Presents and Twilight Zones things. And Stevens got sick, and then Stefano stepped in. And before they knew, they wound up with something that wasn't even a TV pilot. It was a full-blown movie. And Martin Landau, of course, just rises to the occasion, and it's really, really, really cool. So here's the essence of it. You've got a woman who is, oh gosh, how do I even describe this without giving anything away? Let's just say there's a phone that rings from beyond. Gosh, that sounds so stupid. Okay. Martin Landau he's kind of like the characters played by what's his name in the Conjuring movies.
The
paranormal, like paranormal detectives, ghost hunters.
Those
whatever.
Guys who come back, What's your name and her husband in those movies? Yeah.
So that's sort of what Martin Landau is in this, and he has to solve the issue of why the beyond seems to be phoning. Anyway, William Fraker shot this along with Conrad Hall, believe it or not, because you had the two crew thing. I mean, it's two of the greatest cinematographers of all time, giving you like killer black and white cinematography. And of course, Judith Anderson is in this, who also has a little pedigree on Star Trek. For those who who remember her appearance as a Vulcan kind of Vulcan. What would we call a Vulcan senior, Vulcan elder? Anyway, Joseph Stefano and Robert Stevens, and the very unusual history of the Ghost of Sierra de Cobre. So it's worth checking out from 1964 on Blu-ray.
Going way back to the day, from William Castle. This is a double feature here. You got Straight Jacket and Berserk. Both Joan Crawford. Neat movies. The Straight Jacket in particular is pretty good. It's about this woman who's been away in this sort of like in the nut house, the asylum anyway, for 20 plus years. She comes back home to live with her daughter, and of course everyone is somewhat suspicious about her behavior. And she does have that issue with the axe. The axe, and then Berserk is Berserk. It's also pretty damn good. For a double bill, this is a whole lot of fun. Berserk, directed by Jim Connolly, and this is Joan Crawford when she's older, and the sort of glamorous roles have gone away. And I think that it was brave of her to play these roles.
I agree.
To simply embrace the moment that she was in her life, own it, and then max it out.
Shelley Winters did that too.
Shelley did it too.
Shelley played a satanic sorority mom at least 7 or 8 times.
Yeah. And when Shelley could put on a few pounds and got big, then Shelley would just play the big gal. Because you know what? Why not? Why the hell not? So these are kind of neat. The first Straight Jacket, of course, is directed by William Castle. That's only 93 minutes long, and the other one's pretty short too. I wish they had more by way of special features on these, but not so much.
So we got us some trauma films here.
Yeah,
and
trauma.
I'll tell you, got a great trio of traumas. So I almost don't even want to tell you what they're about because the title, well, at least with one of them, the title's perfect. There's one on Blu-ray and the other two are on DVD. And the Nobodies is the first one that's on DVD in glorious standard definition retrovision. I love that. Inglorious standard definition retrovision. That's their way of saying we're cheap and we're gonna own it. The tagline here is classic Lloyd Kaufman. Life imitates art. Art imitates trash. I don't even know what that means.
It doesn't mean anything.
It means absolutely nothing. Now, it's hard to know when Lloyd Kaufman is pulling your leg or not, but the idea here, presumably, is that this is a documentary about an amateur filmmaker from 1993 who made a film on VHS with next to no money called Pumpkin for only like $500 or $600, and this winds up having this whole bizarre satanic backstory to it. And this is presumably the original movie Pumpkin tied in with a documentary about something that happened relative to Pumpkin that was very dark and disturbing. This is clearly whether it's a mock documentary, whether it's a faux documentary, which is a little different from a mock documentary. Look, bottom line is this is just Lloyd Kaufman and his people going crazy and spinning a yarn, the likes of which is unique and only could have been done by Troma. You have to pay attention to realize how funny it can be. The other two, one is called Slimed, and this has an even better tagline: action, horror, exploding children. It's the best. So this is this is outrageously funny and just completely ridiculous. The acting is totally insane. It's like I don't know, Yogi Bear with bad animatronics and lots of slime and bad effects and overacting and I don't know. It's funny. It's crazy funny. My favorite though is Moonshine Meat Market Mayhem. The alliteration alone is terrific. The whole this is just completely unhinged trauma, madness, and craziness. Lloyd Kaufman does an introduction on here. It's through the roof stupid. The idea is that this is like a post-apocalyptic hell, and the Earth is back into kind of road warrior, or at least low-budget road warrior time. And so now you wind up with basically Moonshine Meat Market Mayhem in the aftermath of the post-apocalyptic road warrior, whatever. It's trauma. You're not watching it for the plots.
Trick or Treat. This is a neat little movie from 2007. Remember, this is perfect for Halloween.
This is great.
I have a crush on Leslie Bibb and Anna Paquin. Leslie Bibb knows, Anna Paquin does not. Brian Cox in the film as well. Neat little thing. It's 5 stories. Each of them are pretty good. Some of them are better than the others. But you follow along these stories, and you have these neat little moments, and then they all tie together neatly at the end and gives you a little poke. It's what was it? Tales from the Crypt. Remember the old Tales from the Crypt?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of shaped like that, only with better acting and better special effects. And plus this has all kinds of neat special features. And I mean, really way too many additional scenes, deleted scenes, all kinds of stuff there. So check it out. Trick or Treat. 5 stories about a modern Halloween.
Mark, why don't you tell us about The Swarm?
Wait, let me tell you something. The Swarm has a special place in my heart because The Swarm, which was directed by Irwin Allen. Now, Irwin Allen, of course, is known with the Master of Disaster. Mm-hmm. Really more as a producer than a director, because he produced Poseidon Adventure, he produced Towering Inferno. He didn't direct them, but he did direct some films, including The Swarm, which is a terrible film, but it's close to my heart because I remember I had just moved out to L.A. from New York as a kid, and this movie opened on my birthday.
There you go.
Which, when you're a kid, is like an amazing, earth-shattering coincidence of all time.
Sweet.
Oh my God, this movie's opening on my birthday. It's like God, there's 7 gods and they all love me. So my father got a bunch of my friends together and we all went to I think it was the National Theater in Westwood, or it might have been one of the other theaters in Westwood, and we all went to go see The Swarm. That was my birthday present for my father and all our friends. And it's got Henry Fonda and Lee Grant and Ben Johnson and Olivia de Havilland and Michael Caine, of course, Catherine Ross. And the movie's just absolutely dreadful. In fact, it kind of killed his directing career, Irwin Allen.
Yeah, it kind of did, actually. That's sadly true, and I'd forgotten about that. You're right.
Jerry Goldsmith music, I don't remember it. But anyway, the film is terrible, but if you're an Irwin Allen completist or you love those cheesy 70s disaster films, those Irwin Allen films, Irwin Allen became like he's like Xerox and Coke.
Yeah.
An Irwin Allen film tells you exactly what it is.
And he did that thing of where he sort of revived, I guess you might call it revived, the careers of, fading. Charlton Heston would show up. I mean, some of those things were, all-star casts.
Those casts were great. I mean,
They were all like 65 at the time, but nevertheless, they had at one time in their lives been big movie stars.
Didn't Helen Hayes win an Oscar for Towering Inferno?
Oh, she was nominated. Did she win?
I thought that was Big Girl we were just talking about for Poseidon Adventure.
No, Shelley
Shelley
Winters
Winters.
won.
Shelley.
No.
Shelley won.
Shelley won, right?
Yeah, I think she did.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Helen Hayes, I know, was at least nominated. But anyway, The Swarm is terrible, but it's got a special place in my heart.
Got 3 double features from Epic, all of which are, this is some interesting stuff, to be honest. They're more interesting films than they have any business being. The first one's called Imitation Girl, which is not really a Halloween film per se, but the other two are, or the other 2 double features are. Imitation Girl is really an interesting idea, which is not terribly well executed, but interesting enough in concept that it kind of makes up for its shortcomings. The idea is you got an alien who takes the form to kind of adapt to earthly society, takes the form of a porn actress, and then you have the porn actress and the alien that's masquerading as the porn actress interfacing with each other, and that's kind of your commentary on life. I know that sounds stupid, but it's not quite as stupid as it sounds. And Lauren Ashley Carter is the actress who plays both parts and does a really good job of it. And the double feature comes with Nina Forever. That's the other film here. More Halloween-y is The Monster Project, which comes on with a double feature with hashtag Screamers. The Monster Project is basically about a low-budget film that casts some people to play monsters who turn out to actually be the monsters that they are cast as.
Wonderful.
Which is kind of a cool idea, especially the Skinwalker. And then the last one is Zombieology, which has a really funny tagline: "Enjoy yourself tonight." Right? It's so random. Which is on here along with Vidar.
What the hell does that mean?
when you see
What
it.
does it have to do with zombies?
You understand when you see it. But it's great. Zombieology. Enjoy yourself tonight. Vidar the Vampire is the other film on here. And the thing behind you'll see. I should show you this. So the Zombieology is about a monster from an animated television show that actually comes into the world and begins a zombie outbreak, and then it's how people deal with that. It sounds ridiculous, but it's actually pretty clever and funny.
Hang on.
No, here we go.
Yeah.
Just correcting the record.
Yes.
Helen Hayes won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for Airport.
That's right.
It's not an Irwin Allen film.
Yeah.
It might as well be.
Yeah,
That's a good
yeah.
point.
E.G. Marshall, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, good point.
Then there was Airport 77.
And all of them had George Kennedy. I remember my mother and I going to see like Airport 74, Concorde, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And there was George effing Kennedy saving the plane again. He played, you know what? I still remember his character's name, Joe Patrone.
Oh my
George
gosh.
Kennedy played Joe Patrone in
How
all
is
those
that
effing
possible?
movies, and he would always save the plane.
I'm Joe Patrone. Oh, breaking news. Zachary Quinto confirms R rating for Tarantino's Star Trek.
Yeah, well, that was to be foreseen.
Yeah, I kind of makes
But how
sense.
did he confirm that? The movie's not shot, it's not written.
It must be because of something that he says or does in the movie that he knows is going to get an R.
Yeah.
Well, he was quoted as saying that Tarantino wanted to make a film where you saw the true consequences of space travel.
Yeah.
Like if you get sucked into space, your guts fly out and whatever. So it was really more about, at least at this early juncture, the cast knows what the storyline is, and they're of course not going to say anything. But they did say that he wanted an R because Tarantino, it was important to him to truly convey the consequences of space travel.
I got 2 words for you.
Yeah.
Never happened?
Zombie tribbles. Zombie tribbles.
They keep reproducing and they won't die.
This movie will never happen, by the way. This Tarantino Star Trek never
don't think
happened.
so? Yeah.
Do you really think that's going to happen?
I don't know.
I'm sure Paramount is absolutely will.
Well, there's nothing.
They will sell all their mothers to the devil to make this happen.
But how do you continue the series if you don't do something like this? Because there's nothing that an ordinary, that any other director you can think of that could do that will matter. There's nothing that any other writer that you can think of can do that will matter. You know, I mean, it's tapped out. So unless you let Tarantinoize it, then you might as well just kill the series.
Well, the series is on life support anyway. It's not doing that great. The last one didn't do that well.
No.
They're already having problems trying to sign Chris Pine, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that might be that.
If I'm Chris Pine, I only do it if Tarantino is directing it.
You know what? That might be that to bring it back to Tarantino. That might be that needle in Uma Thurman's heart that gets that dying patient living again.
Yeah, there we go.
So I got 3 here from Arrow.
That's a
releasing.
reference to Pulp Fiction, people.
I got 3 from Arrow here. The first is a classic Sergio Martino film called Torso from 1973.
Oh, yes.
Which is kind of one of the late Giallo era films. And Martino was one of the seminal figures in the Giallo genre. Anyway, the idea behind Torso is pretty simple. It's you've got, in the city of Perugia, you got a serial killer on the loose who's wiping out students, and so a bunch of students decide to take a weekend away to try to get away from the killer, and naturally they realize he's with us.
Yeah.
And there you go. Now you have classic Giallo. Which is fine, loaded with extras, and more than this movie really deserves, to be honest. But seriously, there's an interesting video interview with the guy who co-wrote it, Ernesto Gastaldi. That's probably the most interesting thing here. There's also an audio commentary with the author Kat Ellinger, the author of All the Colors of Sergio Martino, which is more colors than I need to know anything about. And then Deadbeat at Dawn is even bloodier. This is not Giallo, however. This is from director Jim Van Bebber. Now, Van Bebber is an interesting low-budget guy, and he basically made this as sort of his revenge film after dropping out of film school. He had leftover money on his student loan, and that's what funded the film.
Love it.
Yeah, isn't that great? I don't know how you would do that legally today, but in any case, it's quite gutsy. Anyway, this was made 30 years ago, in 1988, and it is basically just a straight up slasher film, which is criminals who wind up just getting trapped in a cycle of revenge and bloodletting, and it's quite violent and vicious and horrific. It is really above and beyond, and it pushes a lot of buttons. There's a VHS documentary on it here. There's outtakes. There are new interviews, audio commentary with Van Bebber. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here if this is your kind of film. And then one that I have to just absolutely praise is the original schlock. No, not the documentary that we all made with Ray Green about 17 years ago.
Stop. It hurts.
Ray has remastered it, by the way.
I know. It looks great.
Looks terrific.
Yeah.
So we're going to be re-releasing that soon. But this is the original schlock, not the documentary, but the John Landis film, the directing debut of John Landis. And what an odd, bizarre movie this is. Also from 1973, 79 minutes in length. Blows by very quickly. But it's such a weird movie. Like Schlockthropus, the prehistoric ape, who is now going on a rampage that is anything but scary. It's just a guy in a monkey suit. But still, it somehow has a certain panache and a kind of bravado to it that is uniquely John Landis, and you can see why this was able to get him a directing career. Audio commentary here with Landis and Rick Baker, which is terrific, and then Birth of a Schlock, which was a video interview with John Landis just done a couple of years ago. And another archival video interview with the cinematographer Bob Collins. A lot of fun stuff here. So
I'm running
that is the original schlock.
I run into John Landis about every 20 minutes out there.
Oh, I see him all over the
Him
place.
and his wife is a wonderful, if I'm not mistaken, costume designer or production designer.
They're both lovely. They're both absolutely lovely.
George A. Ramiro's, who we lost, I think, last year? George A.
that.
that we lost, and Stephen King present Creepshow, another anthology, a series of little horror things. It's pretty neat. The most interesting thing about this particular film are all the fantastic people who are in it. I mean, notable people in Creepshow from 1982. You got Hal Holbrook, you got Adrienne Barbeau, you got Fritz Weaver, you got Leslie Nielsen, you got E.G. Marshall. Dude, you got Ed Harris, youngish Ed Harris, in one of these movies. He's in Father's Day. You got Ted Danson. Just right down you go through each one of these.
I've forgotten how many people were
just
in it.
notable actors who would go on to do all kinds of really neat stuff. And what is effectively a fairly intense little series of things packed full of all kinds of stuff. New 4K scans of the original camera negatives, new audio commentaries with all kinds of folks on each one of the films, special effects creators, and Tom Savini is talked to. You name it, they do it. If you look around this movie, there are probably in every department, every film department you can think of across these 5 movies, there are probably 150 extremely notable people who, since 1982, have gone on to have extremely notable careers. So Creepshow from George A. Ramiro and Stephen King.
I've got a couple here from Artsploitation Films. Both of them, these are perfectly serviceable for a good Halloween party, a good Halloween night. Trauma by Lucio Rojas. This is the unrated director's cut. And I don't know what that necessarily means, not having seen the rated director's cut. I don't know. But anyway, this is, once again, a bunch of women go into the country to have just a nice, quiet weekend. Why do they do that? Stay in the city.
Yes.
Just stay in the city. If there's a lesson to all these horror films, stay in the city. Don't go to the countryside because bad things happen out there.
And don't split up no matter what you do. Let's split up.
So stupid. Anyway, so there's they, of course, once they're out there, like a lunatic attacks them and they split up.
Yeah.
That's what happens. But anyway, that's called Trauma. And then the other one is Molly.
Mandy?
No, not Mandy. This is Molly. And Molly is actually more interesting than it deserves to be.
Because Mandy is very enjoyable if you're on Molly.
Yeah.
For those who get the joke.
That's really good. Very clever you are. Is it France that made you clever? Because you weren't that clever before. Yeah. So
all the way back for this abuse.
So Molly is basically a psychic girl living in a Mad Max post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Now that's got to be really a tough situation.
So that's it. That's it. She's anyway. There and you get into kind of a Thunderdome situation here, and it is what it is. It's just cage fighting and all that kind of nonsense.
Well, I mean, the only thing you can be psychic about are the horrible shit that's going to happen, and it's just there's no chance that anything good is going to happen.
It's quite true. To be honest, it's actually kind of enjoyably made. It reminded me a little bit of Motorama. Do you remember Motorama about the kid with the eye patch?
Yeah.
It's got that kind of vibe
Flea.
Yeah, and so it's not bad. It's really low budget, but then again, so was the original Mad Max. And the movie is Molly, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was a much better film than it's been given credit for.
Maximum Overdrive from 1986 is another Stephen King adaptation. My wife, made me buy her every Stephen King novel in hardback. Just all those years, 30 years worth of Stephen King, every single one of them. So I was never a big fan, of Stephen, but she loved all this crap. Made me take her to see every one of these Stephen King adaptations. The adaptations were usually worse than the books. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you're kicking me here.
Yeah, the only one that was great is one that Stephen King didn't like.
Yeah, because Stanley Kubrick did it, and then Stephen makes it again in the 90s exactly like the book, and it's crap too.
Like Tim Daly. They go from Jack Nicholson to Tim Daly. The CD movie version.
Stephen, he took it also literal. This is kind of neat, though, in its conception. The Earth passes through the tail of a comet. And all of the machines on Earth become sentient, and what they want to do is kill humans, which makes sense to you. The main one is a big old truck, a big old diesel truck that has the face of a sort of just funny green demon face on it. But every machine in this movie, the Coke machine is shooting Pepsis at people's heads, and sometimes it connects. That kind of thing.
Was this with Emilio Estevez?
Young Emilio
So
Estevez, when he was, almost a movie star. Man, that's an interesting career right there, Emilio Estevez. Dude, he was an auteur for a moment there.
He
Right,
directed
direct.
for like 9 seconds,
Yeah.
and then what happened?
Mighty Ducks made him $600 million, and I guess he said, "The hell with this."
It's too bad, 'cause didn't he direct? Was there like some Bobby Kennedy thing he directed or something?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Stop the
Yeah.
recording.
I think that might have killed the career back then. He should have kept doing these. Anyway, this thing is packed full of special features, auto commentaries with the writer and director, and blah blah blah, and this, that, and the other thing. I remember this as being one of the Stephen King adaptations that I actually rather enjoyed. Directed by whom? Stephen King.
The thing that I remember about this in particular, there's a funny story about Maximum Overdrive where Stephen King is trying to figure out how to direct a movie while directing, and he was shooting some scenes and he was crossing the line, and the crew told him, "You're crossing the line. You probably shouldn't do that." And he says, "Why?" And they're like, it's just a rule. You're not supposed to do it. And he didn't understand. And who explained to him why you're not supposed to cross the line?
It's got to be
David Lynch.
Oh, David Lynch. David Lynch. Interesting.
He called David Lynch and said, "What's this crossing the line stuff?" And Lynch apparently laughed and said, "It's a stupid idea." But it's like, no, don't listen to David. He does what he wants, man. You can't do that. This is your first film. Obey the rules. Learn how to break them first. Don't break them right out of the gate.
You think Emilio would have helped him out with that?
Yeah,
Come
he
on.
would've.
All right, whatever.
Bobby Estevez directed Bobby.
He wasn't in that movie though, right?
No, he directed it. The story of
Bruce- that's right.
Bruce Greenwood.
Kennedy.
Bruce Greenwood in that movie.
No,
It's,
Bruce Greenwood was in the Donaldson film, the Roger Donaldson
Oh,
film.
9 Days with
No,
with
which is very
with,
good.
with
That-
Kevin
that
Costner.
film's very good.
13 days.
13 days.
13
Yeah,
Days, which is
yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
This one's okay.
yeah.
So, got some cool exploitation stuff here. The first one is a film called Bloodlust. This is a 1977 Swiss horror film.
Ooh.
I know what you're thinking. Swiss horror? I've heard of Swiss milk, Swiss cheese, Swiss chocolate,
Swiss Miss?
Swiss Miss. I've heard of Swiss watches. I've heard all kinds of Swiss knives, Swiss Army knife, but Swiss horror? No, Switzerland made a horror film. Directed by the name of Marajan Yada. Yajda. Never heard of whoever this is. Don't know if it's a man or woman. I have no clue. All I know is this is an absolute stone cold riot. So the idea is this guy. It's about a guy who's a deaf mute accountant who becomes a vampire. But he doesn't become a vampire because he's bitten by a vampire. He just kind of likes liquid that's red. And he sort of fixates on it. And ketchup, okay. And then he at one point even drinks red ink. And that doesn't really fit the bill. So anyway, it's really unbelievably funny. I don't know if it's intentionally funny, but it's called Bloodlust from 1977. This is Mondo Macabro, and it's seriously bizarre and quite a lot of fun. The other one is Mario Bava's famous Blood and Black Lace, which is out in Blu-ray, and this is a Blu-ray DVD combo set. This has been out 1 billion times previously on DVD. It is now out on Blu-ray from VCI, and it is perfectly fine. They found some really good elements. They did a 2K restoration on them. Color is all fine. Scratches removed. It's pretty pristine looking. Very, very nice job. And, it's all about, models and sex and murder and
serial killing models,
killing,
yeah.
and it is what it is. It's a Mario Bava film, and you're gonna have a lot of good.
Oddly, Cameron Mitchell in the film. Sort of weird. Yeah,
Yeah.
but whatever.
And then the last two here of the exploitation stuff, and then I'm going to turn this over to Mark to give us some oldies but goodies. Joe D'Amato is just a legendary gore director who's really terrible, but the movies can be a lot of fun. The first one is Anthropophagous. Anthropophagous. Basically, bottom line, It's a guy eating human flesh and guts for about 90 minutes.
Really?
That's all it is. It's seriously, it made in 1980. It's just a cannibal movie.
Yeah.
It's just a straight-up cannibal movie with really, really terrible gore effects, but it's kind of funny. And you have an interesting interview with the guy who did the special effects on this, the gore effects, Pietro Tenolio, and a few other little featurettes that give you some behind-the-scenes stuff. But for the most part, it's pretty stupid. And then we have another Joe D'Amato movie called Absurd. This has slightly more plot, to be honest. It's a little bit more kind of conceived, but it's still basically it's like a slasher film in a hospital. That's all it is, and it is seriously. There's like a little bit of plot here, but then it just starts being gore and more gore, and that's all it really is. And there it is. That's another Joe D'Amato film. If you like Joe D'Amato, those two from Severin will scratch the itch.
Joe DiMaggio?
Mark, what else do we... Yes, Joe DiMaggio, exactly. Just the guy you want.
The great horror actor.
From the classic old days of Movie of the Week. Movies of the Week. Wait, Movie of the Week? Remember those?
Yes, I do.
Instead of Movies of the Week, we now have Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have 3 from Kino Lorber. 2 not that great, but 1 actually surprisingly okay. Darren McGavin starred in a little dealie called The Night Stalker. Of course, we all know The Night Stalker. He's an investigative journalist, and he decides to... his beat is the supernatural. It was a very highly rated TV movie, and took place in...
1974.
1974. Wound up getting us into Kolchak.
Oh, yes.
People love that show, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing because it's a very short-lived series. They're only 20 episodes.
I don't get the attraction.
That's not even a whole season.
Maybe the concept's okay. We get like this kind of gritty urban detective, but his beat is supernatural.
Yeah. And the thing of it is, because Kolchak, he was kind of like Jim Rockford, only dealing with, and he would discover these things. He would be right. The supernatural thing would be true. Of course, his editors wouldn't believe him.
Like the X-Files.
Exactly. And he'd write, exactly. I'm telling you, the X-Files and all of that stuff there's a thread that runs straight through the Night Stalker, for sure.
Well, after that, they followed that up with The Night Strangler, which is the same darn thing. It's another movie of the week. And this one has an audio commentary by film historian Tim Lucas and a new interview with the composer and featurette on directing the film. Anyway, if you love these things, and if you love Joanne Flug. By the way, if you love game shows from the 70s...
I love Joanne Flug.
Who doesn't love Joanne Flug?
You mean she was not just a game show guest?
No.
She actually was an actress?
She starred in The Night Strangler.
That's amazing.
Now, the other Kino Lorber number is Trilogy of Terror. Now, Trilogy of Terror is actually not bad. It's another TV movie. This one, by the way, restored in 4K like the other two. And the thing with these is that they all star Karen Black. Now, Karen Black, for about 8 seconds, was an actual actress.
Yeah.
And then she started to do a bunch of garbage, and then she became a kind of not a Sybil Danning style garbage queen, but a bit of a garbage queen.
Yeah.
But this is actually not bad because there are 3 short films strung together, and they're all written by Richard Matheson.
Ah.
Richard Matheson, if you don't know, is one of the great sci-fi writers of all time.
Of all time.
Plenty of
Last
Twilight
Man on
Zones,
Earth.
Last Man on Earth.
Yeah.
So Richard Matheson typing something out on the toilet is going to be better than 3/4 of what you'll get from polished writers of the era. So Trilogy of Terror is really actually not bad. So there you go. That's 3 from Kino Lorber.
All right.
And we're going to wrap things out here with a few little indie horror things and little indie genre things. One that's more intelligent than almost anything else here is called Painless. This is written and directed by Jordan Horowitz. Really a very interesting idea. I'd say probably about 2/3 of it is successful. The last third is not quite there. But it's about a guy who has the only part that doesn't make sense here is if you had a condition where you can't feel physical pain, wouldn't you be like, woohoo, yeah?
At first, and then you'd realize I'm bleeding from everywhere.
But there should be a way to kind of somehow find... Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he wants to be cured, and he goes to the wrong scientist for the cure, because, of course, when you have those kinds of conditions, somehow you always get drawn to the mad scientist types. But still, that said, it's an interesting film. It's an interesting concept. It's well done. Jordan Horowitz, a very smart young filmmaker, who also provides a very smart commentary as well. And there's also a little behind-the-scenes featurette. That's from Indican, and it is called Painless. And then we also have Third Night. Third Night is more mood than anything else, and that's what I liked. Not so much the particulars of the film. The story is, take it or leave it. This is about a couple who is terrorized by a stalker, and the stalker will stalk you for 2 nights and then kill you on the third night. That's hence the title, Third Night. Anyway, but the actual plot of the thing, not quite all there, but the mood of it, the directing is very, very sharp. It's a good little cast, especially Jesse McGinn and Robert Hartburn. Very, very good. Also with Bruce Denny and Connor Gossati. Not names, but it's got solid mood and good performances.
Interesting in that this one that I have, Afraid, from the co-creator of Punk'd, has the exact same plot as the movie you just described. A couple, they rent this house, a little cabin for a weekend sort of getaway kind of thing, cabin in the woods. Yeah,
a condo in the city, people.
Yeah,
a condo in the city. Enough with cabins.
Cabins in the woods are just a bad idea, and things get horrifying when they realize that the guy who rented them the cabin has been watching them through all kinds of little holes and whatnot that he's put all over the cabin, just so he look. I'm telling you, dude, you arrive at a cabin with your wife and some old creepy dude lets you in and shows you around. Just accept the fact that there are holes every place and he's watching everything. Just either that or go home.
There you go.
No special features. It's kind of okay, but not great.
Housewife. That sounds like a movie that should not be necessarily a horror movie. The tagline is another one of those great ones. Family requires sacrifice. Ooh, ew, icky. So here's the thing: you got a woman who's dealing with all kinds. She's a housewife, but she's got all kinds of baggage from childhood, and it of course resurfaces when she meets up with a guy who is basically another version of the Linus Roach character from Mandy. That's it. And that just unravels everything, and next thing you know, it's just all hell breaks loose in the here and now. And housewife ain't a housewife no more. So that's the way it goes. It's pretty twisted. This is kind of the inverse of the one I just mentioned, which is that it's not so much the mood, but more the storyline that warrants better direction. Still, some interesting ideas here. Housewife. And that comes to us from Robert Johnson's company, RLJ Entertainment.
From Screen Media, Don't Open Your Eyes. This is about a guy who's a hospice nurse. He's kind of apathetic and not a very particularly good hospice nurse. He gets a gig at a house way out in the woods, working for this old lady, and kind of figures out that him and this old lady both have a sort of dark thing going on, dark forces, this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. This is not very good. But this is one of those movies that has a nugget of an idea, mood and tone. But as you're watching the movie, you realize there's nothing happening here, and there's nothing going to happen here, and then the movie's over.
Here's one that takes a ridiculous premise and somehow turns it into some fairly effective chills. The premise is utterly stupid. The movie's called Sleep No More. And this is from the people who did Final Destination, which was far, far better. So the premise of Sleep No More is so stupid. So you've got these graduate students, these 5 graduate students, who've somehow cooked up this idiotic premise that if somebody could actually stay awake for 200 hours, that's it. That's the threshold. Now your body goes, oh, I really don't need to sleep, and you'll never ever need to sleep again.
Yeah,
that's their premise. That's their graduate thesis, right? Where if you can get to 200 hours, you'll never need to sleep ever again. Now, really, which is, I know, right?
Sounds like it was dreamed up in some industry cocktail bar over meatballs on a toothpick, and it would be cool.
Probably.
What would be good to me? Oh, that's amazing! Oh my god! What if we did a movie on it?
Probably by some guy who hasn't slept for 4 or 5 days.
Or it's cooked up by editors,
yeah,
right? Who don't sleep for days. Anyway, so of course, naturally, what happens is they're able to stay awake for 200 hours, but it's not. What happens is not what you think what happens. It's just the sleep version of the, I'll bet if we open that door, butterflies will fly out. No, if you open that door, monsters from another dimension will come through and eat you. Don't do that. So here it's I'll bet if we stay awake for 200 hours, we'll never need to sleep again. No, if you sleep for 200 hours, weird stuff is going to start happening, and bad things will happen to everyone, and you don't know what will be coming out of your psyche and what you'll be doing.
Yeah.
And of course, that's what happens. So it's called Sleep No More. Well executed, ridiculous premise, but ultimately it's sort of redeemed redeems itself in the execution.
Yeah, your body won't do that, by the way. Strange nature. You have this family. They're off in the woods of Minnesota. They start seeing these very bizarrely deformed frogs, two-headed frogs. I've seen two-headed frogs before, but these are like horrible.
Really? You've seen a two-headed
Oh,
frog?
yeah, that happens every now and again out in nature because, nature is messy. This gets so sort of ugly, and then other things start deforming, and you're just starting to get two-headed wolves and two-headed this, and then there's sort of monsters, and then, of course, here come the people with two heads.
Oh, no.
And that's going to happen.
Please tell me that one of them has a head of Ray Milland and Rosie Greer. Please tell me. That's my favorite thing of all time.
Wouldn't that have been fantastic? Wouldn't that have been fantastic? If I do like something about this movie, it's that the lead is a female lead. It's her and her little boy. The little boy's about 11 years old. Mom's out there, and she's got Junior, and she's going to protect her son against all these two-headed monsters with a shotgun. You can't go wrong with that.
Fantastic. My goodness, I think that does it. Are we done with Halloween?
The Halloween special.
Another Halloween special under our belt. Mark.
Yes, sir.
So good having you. How much longer are you around town?
I'm in Los Angeles till the end of December.
Till the end. So you're here for the holidays, except for New Year's.
Well, my last day at E is December 21st, and I plan on getting on the first cheap flight back to Paris.
Yeah.
So that's December 22nd. I'm gone December 22nd. If it's December 27th, I'm gone December 27th.
Because rent's a waste.
The only thing is, I need to be back by January 7th because I restart my French language classes.
There you go. Are you here?
Yes.
Are you here basically through LAFCA voting? You're going to be here for the voting meeting.
It's funny. I was not going to vote because I thought that.
Oh, but you're going to get screeners.
No, I told Justin I didn't want the screeners because I'm a little itinerant right now.
Why did you do that?
Because where are they going to send them to? And
you can send them to one of us, and we can
send them here.
They'll just be sitting here. Yeah.
Then you know what? I have nothing to watch them on. And by the way, if there's something that
you know what I'll do? Yeah. Honestly, I kid you not. I will. Yeah, no, I guess no, I won't.
What is it?
Whatever you're gonna say. If anybody listens to it, they're gonna hate you.
You don't have a DVD player.
No, I have nothing. I'm a complete homeless man who's sleeping on couches for 3 months.
Okay.
But here's the thing. I talked to Ray about this, and I think if we get enough links, and maybe I could maybe borrow some stuff I gotta see.
Yeah.
And I have seen I have seen more.
Don't
stuff.
pirate any of it like you usually do.
I'm not gonna pirate it.
Okay.
But I have seen stuff in legitimate fashion.
Sure.
Like Mandy.
Yeah.
I think I might actually.
Yeah,
vote.
Mandy's gonna be in the running.
I think I might vote with some abstentions.
So are there any screenings in Paris of big releases done by any of the for whatever? I mean, because they have all kinds of reward programs happening over there. So will there be screenings of the big movies for you someplace over there?
Well, you know what? If I was going to be there during the award season, I would have totally looked into that.
Yeah.
But the fact is that now I'm trying to get people to send me links.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've been on those. Have you been on Richie Solomon's site? So this guy named Richie Solomon. I don't know who he is, where he came from, what his deal is, but every year Richie Solomon posts links to all of the studio awards.
Oh yes. I have that.
That. Okay.
Yeah, I have that bookmarked. Yeah.
And a lot of stuff is closed. Like I don't know when I'm going to see The Favorite. I'm going to have to just.
Yeah.
Who's distributing The Favorite?
You saw that already, didn't you?
Yeah. Is it Focus? Is Favorite a Focus film?
I might ask you guys for.
Wouldn't that opened last week, right?
Oh no, The Favorite doesn't open for a few more weeks.
It's still,
yeah.
You saw it already, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to get from you the latest contact at Focus.
Okay.
Focus.
You got it.
I'll see if they'll send me a link, which I'm sure they won't. But I could tell them you can expire it in 12 hours. I don't care.
There we go.
I just need to see it because all the screenings are closed for that.
Well, we're gonna have a good few weeks. All right, folks, we'll be back soon.
You
Mark,
think I bored you? Are you saying okay? You wanted me to wrap up that story about The Favorite so fast that you just went, "Oh, we're done, folks. Bye. Thanks, Mark. Gotta roll."
He's never gonna see that movie.
Shit to do. We got nothing to do. He's nothing to do.
Yeah, that's probably true. Okay, Mark, thank you for being here the last 2 weeks.
Outstanding.
Can we expect you to be here maybe for another show or two?
I think so, because here's how I look at it. Wade.
Okay.
I feel like I am Steve Perry from Journey, and Tim is that Taiwanese guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Who could sing, by the way?
Who could sing? Because here's the thing. I've been away from the show for so long. It's your show now. I'm the guy who dropped it and said hello. So really, Tim, you are the Taiwanese Mark. Go with God. It's your show.
I get emails every day with your name on it. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. Yes,
Oh,
every day.
Is it stuff that only I can answer that I should be reading?
I figure you don't
Is
care.
it my fans?
Yes, fans and solicitations.
Yeah.
For all kinds
those
of
you
things.
can keep.
Yeah.
All right. Folks, have a happy Halloween, and we'll see you soon.